welcome to your 60-minute power yoga flow. We are going to start today lying on our backs, soles of the feet together in a reclined butterfly. And then putting one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Close your eyes and let your body feel heavy. Tap into your breath. Start to clear away those thoughts. And focus in on the inhale and the exhale. This next 60 minutes is for you. For you to feel just a little lighter. Because so many of us are carrying around so much. And just because we carry it well, doesn't mean that it's not heavy. So how can we get lighter? Practice that here on your mat as we tap into the breath. The heaviness that you had at first as we laid here, focus on softening something. Your face, your fingertips, maybe your toes. Take one more breath here together. And then release your hands by your side. Blink the eyes open. And then bring your knees together to touch. We're going to drop the knees to the right side and then extend your arms out to a T. So we're just going to start here with a nice twist. Pressing both shoulder blades into the mat. Continuing to breathe. Lengthening the inhale and the exhale. And then bring the knees back to center. Drop them over to the left. Really anchor down that right shoulder blade into the mat. Breathing. Slow, steady, and smooth. Bring the knees back to center. And then lift the feet to a tabletop position, flexing your feet. I want you to take your hands and press into your thighs. So there's active pressure coming from the hands into the thighs, and then the thighs into the hands. And for an added challenge, if you would like to lift your head, neck, and shoulders up, really press that belly button into the spine, firing up that belly. 3 more breaths here. And then release your head, neck, and shoulders down. Feet to the mat. Bring your hands behind your head. And let's start with some crunches. So lifting up and down. Lift and lower. Slow and controlled. Activating that core. using the breath to move with the body. At any time during this practice, if you lose your breath, option to take a child's pose and find it. Let the breath guide you through the practice. Just a few more seconds here as we crunch up and down. Last one. And then let's tuck those knees into the chest. Maybe rock side to side. And then start to rock front and back. And we'll come to a forward fold at the top of the mat. Separate the feet, hip distance apart, grab opposite elbows. Slight bend in the knees for your ragdoll. Let your head hang heavy here. Focus on the breathing. Release the to-do lists for the day. Release the stress. Focus on getting lighter on our mat for the next 60 minutes. Because if we can practice that here, then we can take that with us as we progress through our day. Release the hands. Take a wide leg halfway lift. And then fold. One more halfway. Fold. And then heel toe your feet together to touch. We're going to reach the right arm up to the sky. Put a bend in the right knee. And then twist. Release that right hand. The left hand reaches, bend in the left knee. Open up through the chest. Release that hand down. Slowly roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. Finding that mountain pose. Taking one breath in and sigh it out. One more breath in. Release, sigh it out. Reach the arms up. Extended mountain. Forward fold. Take your halfway lift. And then step back to a high push-up. Option to lower to your knees. Stack the joints here. Wrists below the shoulders. And then really press back through your heels. Bring the feet together to touch. Heels spin to the right for a side plank. You can keep that hand at your hip where you can reach the left arm up to the sky. Reaching through those top fingertips and then lifting the hips just a little higher. Bring the left hand down to the mat. Spin the heels to the left. Reach up, side plank. In these moments of stillness, focus on the breath. Feel the breath moving up the body and then out. In through the nose and out through the nose. Back to your high push-up. And then we're going to find a forearm plank. Option here to lower to the knees. Really press down through the forearms. Press back through your heels, lengthen through that crown of the head. 3 breaths here. Last one, lower those hips. Find Sphinx pose. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Lower the forehead to the mat. Bring your hands outside the shoulders. And then just take a baby cobra. So lift up and lower back down. Pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. We're going to lift up baby cobra one more time. Maybe you release the hands. Find length through the spine. And then release back down. This time find your upward facing dog so the thighs come up off of the mat. Glutes are strong. Downward facing dog. Breathe here. Pedal out your feet. Bending into one knee, then the other. Maybe you look under your armpit for that extra little twist. You can lift the heels up and then sink the heels to the mat. Try that one more time. Lift up and then lower the heels. Pull forward to your high push-up and then lower down to your forearm plank. Slowly walk the feet to dolphin pose. Breathing here, pressing down through the forearms. Shoulders right above the elbows. Walk back to that forearm plank. Holding here, 3 breaths. One more time, walking in to dolphin pose. Walk those feet. And then find that shortened downward facing dog position on your forearms. So lift those hips high. And then walk back to your forearm plank. Fire up the belly. Squeeze the glutes. Back to high push-up. Downward facing dog. One breath in. And then out. Lift the heels, bend the knees. Step to the top of your mat. Take that halfway lift and fold. Root down, rise up. Extended mountain pose. Forward fold. Hands come through the heart. Halfway lift and fold. Step back. High to low push up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Connecting the breath with the movement here in the sun A. So we lift the heels as we inhale. Exhale, bend the knees, step or float to the top. Inhale, halfway. Exhale to fold. Inhale, root down, rise. Exhale, let it go to fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, step back, high to low push-up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathing here. One more breath in and out. Lift those heels, bend the knees, step or hop to the top. Halfway lift and fold. Root down, rise, and then fold. Halfway lift. Hands to the mat, high and low, push up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. One breath. And then on that next breath, we lift the heels, bend the knees, step or float. Halfway. And fold. Root down. Rise up. Hands come through the heart as you fold. Halfway lift. And fold. High to low push up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. One more. Inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, hop to the top. Halfway. and fold. Root down, rise up. Hands come through the heart as we fold. Halfway lift and fold. Step back, high to low. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathe in here. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Clear it through the mouth. Step the right foot forward to the right thumb. Spin that back heel flat. Reach up for your warrior one. Press down through the feet. Relax through the shoulders. Steady that breath. In this pose, we feel the grounding down through the feet. The lightness of the fingertips. The softness of the shoulders. One more breath. Bring your hands to the mat and just step back to your downward facing dog. So the left foot steps to the left thumb. Spin the back foot flat. Reach up, warrior one. Setting up here. Tracking that left hip back. Steering that right hip forward. Lengthening the back leg. Hands come to the mat. Step back to downward facing dog. So we're going to flow through this warrior one to downward facing dog, connecting this movement with breath. So we step the right foot forward, warrior one, breathe in. On that exhale, hands to the mat, downward facing dog. Inhale, step the left foot, breathe up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot steps, warrior one, breathe in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot steps, breathe in. Hands to the mat, downward facing dog. One more each side, right foot, reach. Hands to the mat, downward facing dog. Left foot, reach up. Hands come down, downward facing dog. Now lift those heels, bend the knees, step or float. Take a halfway lift and fold. Now bend the knees, reach the arms up, chair pose, Utkatasana. Shift the weight back into the heels. Can you lift your toes off the mat? Maybe wiggle them. Sink a little deeper. Relax the shoulders. Lift that heart high. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Fold. Step back. High to low push up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right foot steps, warrior one. We've been here before. Reach up. Bring those hands to the mat. This time step back. High to low push up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left foot. Warrior one. Reach up. Hands come down to the mat. High to low. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. One breath. Lift the heels. Bend the knees. Step or float. Halfway. And fold. Sink down. Reach the arms. Chair pose. Forward fold. Halfway. And fold. Step back. High to low push up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Warrior one. Right foot. Root down through the feet. Reach the arms high. Hands come to the mat. High to low push up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left foot steps. Root to rise. Hands come down. High to low. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. One more, sun B, as we lift the heels, bend the knees, step or float. Halfway. And fold. Root down, reach, chair pose. Hands come through the heart as we fold. Halfway, hands to the mat, high to low. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Right foot stepping, warrior one. Hands come down, high to low. Upward facing, shine that heart. Downward facing. Left foot, reach. Hands come down, high to low. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. 3 slow and steady breaths here in that downward facing dog. This pose is our home base. It's a place to settle. It's a place to come and feel accepted. Step that right foot forward. Find it a crescent lunge. So we want to have our feet on railroad tracks. Bring your hands to your hips. Nice wide stance here. Really pressing down through the ball of your left foot. Now reach the arms up as you stack the shoulders over the hips into that full expression of your crescent lunge. So we're practicing getting lighter in a way that we can do that is by just focusing on one pose at a time. Don't worry what we're doing next. Stay present and focused. And then the same thing with life. One moment at a time. Fly those arms back, airplane, hinge forward. And then we're gonna lift the left toes off the mat, coming to hip height, finding that airplane pose. So the body is shaped like a T. We're actively trying to press those pinkies together. And then you're trying to press that back foot against the wall. Release the hands to the mat, standing splits. Reach the leg up. Toes to the ceiling. Head hangs heavy, close to the shin. And then from here, we're gonna open up into that half moon. So we flex the toes, turn them to the side while right arm stays down, left arm reaches up to the sky. How you feel that opening through the chest, that freedom here in this pose. Continue to breathe. Bend into the right knee. Land in a warrior two, softly. And then adjust the feet. Reach those arms long. And breathe here. Be okay with what is. Flip the front palm, reach up and back for a reverse warrior. And then we'll come into that extended side angle. So right elbow comes to the inside of the right knee. You can lengthen the hand down to the mat and then reach the left arm to the sky. Really stay active in the legs. So pressure in the back edge of that left foot. Deep bend in the right knee. And then bring the hands down to frame your foot. Step the right foot back to your high push-up. Bring the toes together to touch. Spin the heels to the left. Reach up for a side plank. Float the right toes up. And as though you're coming into tree pose, but you're gonna pass behind your knee, plant the right toes to the mat. Lift the hips, reach the arm for rock star. So can you reach that arm just a little further? Lift both hips up evenly. And then come back to a high push-up position. Lower down to your forearms, and then walk those feet back up to dolphin pose. Pause for a breath, and then walk the feet back to your forearm plank. Feet to dolphin, and then forearm plank. Dolphin, plank. One more. Dolphin, plank. Come up to your hands. Take a low push up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. Left foot steps forward. Find those crescent lunge feet. Hands come to your hips, keeping that hinge in the upper body. Actively pressing into the ball of your right foot. And then reach the arms up for that crescent lunge, stacking shoulders over hips. Staying focused. One pose at a time. This being the left side, we know where we're going. So don't let your brain get ahead of you. Stay steady in the pose that you're in. Hinge forward, airplane your arms. Weight into the left foot, and then lift the back toes up. Flex the foot. Reach the crown of the head forward to lengthen the spine. Inhale and exhale. Next inhale, hands come down to the mat. Standing splits. So really lift the toes just a little higher up to the ceiling. Feel that stretch through the hamstring. Opening the right hip so the toes face the wall, left hand stays down, right arm reaches half moon. Flex the foot. Lift the fingertips to the ceiling. Feel the opening through the collarbones. And then bend into the right or left knee. Find your warrior two, landing gently. Reach those arms long. Breathe. And relax the shoulders. Soften your gaze over the fingertips. Really root down through the feet. Flip the left palm up and back, reverse your warrior. And then coming into that side angle, so left elbow to the inside of the left knee, reach that right arm up. And then stay really active in the side body here. Using those obliques to stay lifted. Using those right fingertips to reach. Check in on your legs. Can you bend the left knee a little more? Can you activate the right leg? Then come down to your high push-up. Spin the heels to the right and find your side plank. We're going to lift the left toes up and then drop the ball of the foot behind. Lift the hips, finding rock star. Come back around to your high push-up. Lower to your forearms. Walk those feet up for dolphin. And then back down to your forearm plank, 5 rounds. So this is 4 more. Three more. Finding that breath. 2 more. Last one. Back to forearm plank, up to your child plank, and then lift the hips back. Downward facing dog. Lift the heels, bend the knees, step or float to the top. Halfway lift, fold. Root down, rise up for your chair pose. So sink into your heels, toes are light. Relax the shoulders, bring the hands to your heart. On the inhale, lengthen. On the exhale, twist to the right, bringing that left elbow to the outside of your right knee. And as you're here, we're lengthening the spine. Reaching the crown of the head forward, reaching the hips back. Come back to center, find your chair, and then sweep those arms back to your airplane pose. Lift the heels for drinking bird. Lower the heels, reach the arms high. Chair. Hands come to the heart. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist to the left. Right elbow comes to the outside of the left knee. Find that length. Inhale to create space. Exhale to open. Inhale. Exhale. Breathing in. Breathing out. Hands come back to center, reach up. Sweep the arms back, lift the heels, drinking bird. Squeezing those pinkies together, really activate those triceps. And then lift those heels as high as you can. Heels drop, arms lift, chair. And then find that forward fold. Take a halfway lift. Fold, take the feet hip distance apart with your peace fingers. Grab your big toes for a yogi toe lock as we lengthen halfway. And then bend into the elbows, bringing the chest to the thighs. Release the hands. Heel toe the feet together to touch. And then come into your crow pose. So rest the knees onto the triceps. And then lifting one foot at a time, and maybe both feet. Bringing those toes together to touch. One more breath. Then release the feet, find your forward fold again. Heel toe those feet, hip distance. We'll take a gorilla, so sliding your hands underneath your feet. And then tickle your wrists. Find an inhale as you halfway lift, lengthen the spine, and then bend the elbows and melt into this fold. Release the hands. Heel toe the feet together to touch. Slowly roll up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Take a moment here. Feel the feet pressing into the ground. Feel the palms spread open. Feel the energy from the top of your head. Reach the arms up, extended mountain. Right arm comes under, right leg over for eagle. Sit down into that imaginary chair here, squeezing everything into the midline. Press those forearms together, and if eagle arms is too much, go ahead and give yourself just a big hug. Lift the right knee up, and then we're going to send it back, keeping the bind in our arms, finding that warrior three. T shape. Actively flexing the foot. And then open up into your half moon. Left arm to the floor, right arm reaching. Open the right toes to the side wall. And then release the hand and the foot down to your forward fold. Halfway lift, fold, roll up slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae. Find that mountain pose, breathe in, breathe out, reach the arms up, eagle. On the left, left arm under, left leg over. Sink down, press the shoulders back above the hips. Lift the elbows so they're in line with your shoulders. And then steady your gaze. Keeping the bind with your arm, lift your left knee up, flex the foot, kick it back, warrior three. And then feel the length. The crown of the head reaching forward, the heel reaching back. And then the core is holding it all together, stabilizing. Open up, half moon, right arm to the mat. Left arm reach up, toes point to that side wall. Feel that openness. Lift the fingertips a little higher to the ceiling. And then release the hand and the foot down to the mat. Halfway lift, fold, root down, rise up, extended mountain. Let's rinse that out with a vinyasa. Fold. Halfway, step back, high to low push up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right foot steps, warrior one. And then open up into your warrior two. Feel the arms stretch. Feel the openness in the hips. Then reverse your warrior. Straighten the front leg, coming into triangle pose. So for triangle pose, imagine that you're stuck in between two panes of glass here. Keeping those shoulders stacked. Staying supported in the side body. And then turn all 10 toes to face the front. Bring the hands to frame the foot. Step the back foot halfway up the halfway up the mat for your pyramid pose. Feel the stretch in the hamstrings. Stay with your breath. Slow and steady. Come up to your fingertips for a halfway lift to lengthen out the spine, and then revolved triangle, right arm reaches up to the sky. Focus on the length here more than the twist, keeping that spine nice and long. And then shifting the weight into the right foot, maybe bringing that hand forward just a little, lift the back toes up for your revolved half moon. Actively flexing those toes, reaching the leg back. Lower the right hand, lower the left toes. Find that lizard pose as you walk the right foot to the edge of your mat. And then option here, you can drop the back knee lower to your forearms. Really just feel the opening here through your hips. Keeping the breath smooth. Focusing on one pose at a time. Come back up to your hands if you head lower to your forearms, and then lift the back knee. Step the right foot back to high push-up, lower to your low push-up, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Right foot steps to your warrior one, and then open to warrior two. Find the depth of your legs, bending into that left knee. Gazing over the front fingertips. Reverse your warrior up and back. Straighten the front leg, and then come into triangle pose. Stacking those shoulders, reaching the fingertips up to the ceiling. And then we're going to find pyramid pose. So bring the hands to frame the foot. Step the back foot halfway up the mat. All 10 toes tracking forward. Release the head to the shin. Keep a lightness in your toes. And then halfway lift, reach the left arm high for that revolved triangle. Inhale to find that length, exhale to open and twist. Inhale and exhale. Allow the breath to serve a purpose. And then putting the weight into the front foot, back leg lifts, revolved half moon. Find your strength here. Release the left hand and the right toes to the mat. Walk the left foot to the edge of the mat and then drop the knee and come to your forearms for lizard. Really send that breath to your hips. Visualize the openness. And then coming back to tall arms, lifting the back knee off of the mat. Step back to your high push-up, find low push-up, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. We're gonna lower to tabletop, and then we're gonna come to kneeling position here for a camel pose. So we can keep the toes tucked, and then we're gonna bring the fists to the lower back. Look up with your chest, and then start to shine that heart forward. Maybe the head drops back, and then maybe the hands can reach for the heels, but we're actively pressing the hips forward. Breathing here. If your hands had come to your heels, bring them back to your lower back. Come on up. Take one breath in and out. And then camel again. So lift the chest up, shine that heart, and start to let that head drop. Pushing the hips forward. Reaching for the heels if there's space. And that feels good. Bring the hands back to the lower back. Come on up. And then we're gonna come back to a downward facing dog. And pedal out the feet, just letting the lower back release a little. And then let's tiptoe those feet to the top of the mat. Take a seat, landing in boat pose. So keeping that back long, reaching the fingertips actively. And then find tabletop. So plant the feet, plant the hands, lift the hips, maybe let the head hang back. Back into your boat pose, reach. Reverse table. Hips lift. Feel that nice stretch through the shoulders. One more boat. Hips lower, feet lift, arms reach. And then lower all the way down to the mat, where we're gonna find some eagle crunches. So wrap that right arm under, and then the right leg over. Lengthen so that the fingertips and the toes touch the mat, and then curl in, elbows and knees touching. So lengthen, curl. Lengthen, and curl. Lengthen, curl. One more. Curl up. And then release it so that the left leg comes over, left arm comes under. Lengthen the fingertips and the toes to the mat. And then bring the elbows and the knees. Lengthen. Crunch. Lengthen. And crunch. Lengthen. Crunch. One more. Lengthen long. And crunch. Now bring your hands behind your head, feet to tabletop for some bicycle crunches. We take the left elbow to the right knee, back to center. Right elbow, left knee. Come back to center. So just keep twisting from side to side. Slow and controlled. Activating the obliques. About 20 more seconds here. One more each side. Make it nice and even. And then hug the knees into the chest. Maybe rock side to side. And then rock the length of your mat. We'll eventually meet in a downward facing dog to prepare for our half pigeon. Lift the right leg up, three-legged jog. Bend the knee, peel, bend that hip. And then right ankle comes to the left wrist. Shin parallel to the top of the mat. Walk the left toes back. Inhale to find length. And then surrender down. Stay focused on your breath. That to-do list will be there for you when you get off your mat. Stay committed now. Come back to the lightness. How can you soften? Coming up to your hands, we're just gonna roll to the right side, swing the left leg around, and then lengthen the right leg back, finding half pigeon on the other side. Breathe in and then surrender down. Don't let the breath get away from you. Let it continue to be your guide. Come up to tall arms. Tuck the back toes. Then reach that left leg, three-legged jog. Open up through the hip as you bend the knee. Release the toes to the mat. Tiptoe forward. Take a seat, extend the legs long, reach up, fold forward. Slowly coming up. And then vertebrae by vertebrae, lowering down to the mat. Grab your right knee. And then drop it over to the left, finding that supine twist. Similar to how we started class. So just notice, how does this feel now? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just simply a noticing. Hug the right knee in. Hug the left knee in, and then lengthen the right leg as the left knee comes across the body for our supine twist. Pressing both shoulder blades evenly into the mat. Bring both knees into the chest. Grab the outsides of your feet for a happy baby. Actively pressing into the feet. Keeping that tailbone glued to the mat. One final hug of the knees. Curl the head, neck, and shoulders up so the forehead meets the knees. One last Ujjayi breath in. And as you exhale, find Shavasana. Feet wide, palms open. Let the mat support you. In the beginning of class, when we laid on our back, I asked you to let the body feel heavy. Now at the end of the class, I ask you to let the mat support you. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Give yourself a nice full body stretch, pointing your toes, reaching your arms overhead. And then roll to the right side. Bending those knees, resting your head on your bicep. Breathe in here for gratitude. And then come to find a comfortable seat. Bringing your hands to your heart. We bring our thumbs to our forehead, and together we bow forward in sight. Namaste.